Well, hey there. Welcome to Real WW Talk. I am Erin.
I'm Candice.
And I'm Rikki.
We are so glad to be here with you today and really excited what we're going to be talking about. Today, we're going to be talking about goals. We haven't talked about goals in a while. And I think a lot of it is because each of us have been in survival mode, right?
Literally.
The goal has been not lose our minds. And so and so we're going to talk about some goals. But first, I just want to shout out to Janie, who is a real WW Talk fan in Australia. And she left us the sweetest review and just said, this is such a great, honest discussion between women who are in the middle of their health and wellness journey rather than at goal. So they have ups and downs. It's like real life. And it makes me not feel like a failure when I'm not managing to track 100% of the time, etc. Lots of motivational tips and quotes, and I'm really enjoying it. And I love their personalities and humor. So thank you. First off, Janie, for giving, yes, we're giving you all, you can't see us on the podcast, Janie, but
we don't have our Bravo hands.
Right. We're giving you heart hands and Bravo fingers for you. And one, just for leaving a comment, we so appreciate that. And also you're Australian, we're in the US, and that's awesome. But also just recognizing, that we're all in the middle of this together. And I actually think that's one of the things that I love about what we get to do here is, most of the times when you see weight loss things, it's always somebody who's at the end of the journey. And now they're at the end of their journey and they're going to tell you how to be successful. Yeah. And we're not at the end of the journey. I don't know that we're ever going to be what we would call the end of a journey. I think it's always the middle for us. And even if I was at a successful place, I would still be in a middle because I would be learning something new with maintenance on it. Right.
So thank you for celebrating our mediocrity. We appreciate
the
middle people. We're in the middle of it. We never get praise.
That is not the right term for the middle. No. Not the right synonym.
No. I tried. I love it because there are people who they need people like us and find identity, and empathy and, like, okay, well, these people are like me in this. And here's the thing, for the people who are at goal or part of their journey, they had middle sections too.
Yeah.
It's just, we didn't get the luxury of hearing their middle section. We didn't get the luxury of hearing their stumbles. We didn't get the luxury of hearing their thought process where they thought they were failing. But with us, you're getting all of that. So God bless you for continuing.
Yes. Please, we appreciate it. It makes me feel less alone. That's why I attached myself to these ladies when they didn't want me there. I was like, you know what?
Stop.
We're going to be friends. I will stalk you.
You're telling so many stories today, Candice.
In the parking lot. I will find you.
Although she did
not reject
one
Candice.
We're going to be friends.
No,
she moved from one side of the room over to our side. Rikki, like every week, she moved up a row of chairs.
They had a seat in between. Like it was like, because you didn't want to always be on top of someone, so they had this one seat that was in between them, and I was like, I'm just going for it. Just came over, didn't make eye contact, and just sat in between and said, they can't reject me if they can't see my eyes, they can't reject me.
She did not do that. She actually came and sat in the chairs behind us.
True.
But in the middle of the two of us behind us, if that makes sense.
I told you my real name.
And she told us her real, but that was only after I called her by what I thought was her real name and said, I recognize you.
That was really bad. Erin almost ruined it. And she was like, don't I know you know?
You're like, no.
Okay, anyway, sorry.
So one of Candice's early goals was to come hang with Rikki and me.
Yeah. And so my first Weight Watchers goal was to stay who I was for a whole 3 months. I was like, I'm not going to change a username. I'm not going to switch a meeting. I'm going to show up to the same meeting with the same weigh-in every single week. That was really hard.
Okay. I know we're laughing about, I know we're totally laughing about it. And I don't want to take it super serious, but I'm going to take it super serious, contrary to what I just said. If you are someone who is used to running, staying is hard.
Yes.
It is, because it means also getting uncomfortable with yourself and asking yourself, why is it that I choose to run when something gets hard? And I think as we're looking at goals and addressing goals in some ways, depending on what the goal is, it means we have to get uncomfortable with ourselves to address why we haven't achieved a particular goal. And knowing that as we go along during that time to achieve the goal, we've got to address some things within us, right? A goal is not something that really should be easy. It should be something that pushes us
Yeah.
a little bit more, but it creates vision for us. And I think that's a really important thing.
Mm-hmm. Because I was addicted to perfection. So when I made that goal to show up every week, that meant that I was going to have a week that I had to gain or maintain, and that wasn't perfect to me. And that's what I was running from. So when I had that week, I was like, "Ooh, all right now, who am I going to be?" Because I made this. Goals are sometimes an internal pressure. It's something that when it's something that's self-made, it can, it's not something that somebody else said that you should do. It's something that you said you want to do.
Yeah.
And that pressure of, am I going to let myself down?
Right.
Is can be really, really hard to reckon with. But when you do get down to the other side of it, you're like, it wasn't that bad.
Right.
I gained and nobody really cared.
But, I think to your point though about I'm trying to pull up my phone so I can get the thing, but I'm getting a blank screen here. So who knows what that's about. But part of even goal setting is to remember, what W talks about setting SMART goals. Was it specific? Star, is it STAR specific?
Well, there's two
SMART
acronyms.
goals and then there's STAR goals. And I think WW STAR goals, but I know it's specific, measurable, achievable, or attainable. Dip. I have SPA goals.
I was going to say we can make up one relatable, technical. Just come up with some really.
Just come up with our own thing. The real W. Let's do talk goals. Teachable because we're going to learn ourselves something out of
attentive.
that. Right. Achievable.
Yeah.
Chattable.
Yeah.
No, that's TAL. Well, learnable.
Killer great.
And K, it's killer. It's killer. It's a killer goal.
Great.
Rikki's eyes right now.
Like, these teachers, she's like, this is not right.
Rikki's like, I can't even. So, but speaking of goals, I'm going to rein us back in because I'm part of the problem here. Looking at where we are, we're in the middle of March right now. And even if we're looking at maybe 3 months out, April, May, June, it was just so wild to think, to look at ourselves being pretty much at the start of the summer season 3 months from now. Have you ladies started thinking about some goals for yourself to achieve? Some specific achievable goals to achieve by then? Who wants to go first?
I'll share one. I am going to California at the end of March, and I'm very excited. But I've had
you're getting ready to leave though. I mean, end of March is
you're
leaving in
yeah. So I'm really just focused on walking, and as the weather's starting to get better, I'm really just feeling like I'm nervous for certain parts of the trip. It's been a while since I've been on a flight. And it's a long time to sit. And then there's a lot of walking. And, I typically do okay with that when I'm traveling, but San Francisco is part of the trip. And we've all seen the hills and the pictures. I know a lot of people have probably been there. And I'm nervous. I'm nervous about the hills. I can walk on a flat surface, as long as I need to. Probably couldn't do 6 miles or something in a day, but we've done 5Ks. I can do that. But you only have
about 2 weeks until your trip. So I know you're not cramming until then. So
no, but it's part of, I think, knowing this trip is coming, and I've known about it's coming for a while because I bought my ticket the end of last year, but it's making me aware of how I want to prepare myself for any future trip. So it's not just for this trip. I think what I'm thinking about is, I only have a couple weeks. I know I'm not going to make a ridiculous or unreasonable amount of progress within 2 weeks, but I do know that I can start habits that will get me to a point where the next trip I go on, the next time I'm in San Francisco, I can walk the hills better than I will be able to this time. Because let's be honest, it's not going to be a drastic change in 2 weeks. And I think part of setting those goals is being realistic about, and that's part of STAR is realistic. And so my goal would be to start walking 30 minutes a day, realistically 5 days a week, 4 days a week. I haven't set that in stone. I think to start 4 days a week. Let's just being honest. And I have started doing more and walking a little bit more, but I haven't had that specific actionable piece. And that's what I'm starting now. And I'd like to continue, obviously, through the trip. I love that about vacations is that there's naturally opportunities to walk more, and I'll get that in. And then when I come back, I don't want to just be out of the routine. I want to continue walking. So that's my goal.
Do you feel like, and I know this, at least this is for me, like whenever I have a good goal, like a trip, like, okay, that's cram time to get ready for the trip. But then when I come back, it's almost like I need a vacation to kind of jumpstart a little motivation for me.
Right. I want to run on the momentum. Like, I know that's typically how it is. You have to unpack everything. You have to do more laundry. You have to get ready to usually go back to work when you've had a break. The way I planned this trip was I'm taking a day off of work before spring break, and I'm only staying for about 5 days. So I'll be back on Wednesday before Easter. So I have Thursday, Friday, I have Saturday, Easter Sunday, and Monday before going back to work. So I have a vacation from my vacation. That was very strategic. So I think that will help, because I think I want to build on the momentum, like using that goal that I have in mind to say this goal isn't going to be broken up by the trip. It's going to be extended through it.
Yeah, and kind of like maybe a kickoff, because you'll have, so if we're even, let's just say we're looking at the next 3 months, what would you want to achieve by the end, or like by the middle of June, right? So if we're looking at 3 months from now, what would you like come the middle of June to be able to say, I've achieved by that time with the goal?
I mean, I'd like to be, I haven't looked at the numbers as far as what my current walking pace is, but I'd like to increase my walking pace. So I know I don't have a specific number for that, but I'd like to be walking comfortably and at a quicker pace. I think there's no reason to, like, I don't think there's anything wrong with walking more than 30 minutes a day, but I think it's just increasing the amount of days I'm walking 30 minutes because I keep busy. I know that there might be some days where if I commit to saying I want to walk 45 minutes today, that might be enough for me to say I don't want to walk at all. So if I say I want to walk by the end of these 3 months, let's say, I'd like to be walking 6 days a week. Maybe I have one day off, kind of like with the step bed. I have a rest day, and 6 days a week, I'm doing 30-minute walk in addition to the general activities I do on a regular basis.
That's actually a great point. If somebody is looking at the end of 3 months because they want the accountability for walking, joining a step bet, which we've talked about, many, many times, so we won't jump into that, but that's great accountability.
Yes.
Yep. And Candice, we talked a couple weeks ago, because you had mentioned one of your Peloton workouts, Rikki, when I was thinking about when you talked about increasing your pace. Candice, what was your Peloton thing? Did it increase your endurance or something?
Yeah, it's a program on the Peloton called Discover Your Power Zones. The power zone is basically the amount of energy that you're able to exert on the bike. They break it down from like 1 to 7. So they work with you throughout the weeks on staying in certain zones based on how you do it on a test. So you test at the beginning and you test at the end, and you get to see how much you've increased. And that kind of is actually my goal. I have 2 goals. My 3-month goals are twofold. One is a physical goal. I do well with training programs. That's one thing I've learned. I like some Couch to 5K, the Peloton, Know Your Power Zone, something where they structure and say, on this day, I want you to do this, and this day is a rest day, and this day do this. I do well with those because I like that as a challenge. So I would like to complete 2 additional training programs. They're each about 5 weeks long. on my bike and also with walking that will help me to get to the next level in my endurance, as well as strength training, because I don't like strength training. Because I told you, I have this irrational fear of it. So I need a program that says, no, today you're going to do this thing. And I want to complete both of them before the end of the 3 months. And then I was very motivated by our Weight Watchers member. You all know her name. I keep forgetting, but the one who's been on the tracking streak for like Sharon. I would like to, my goal is by the end of the 3 months to be able to say that I honestly tracked. And I dare say for that one, I would like it to be 100%. I don't, obviously I get perfection, but the habit of it, of just doing it no matter what. I'm not saying that I have to have stayed within blue dots or not, but just put it in the tracker is something that I think is going to be helpful for me to create, just like I brush my teeth, to just be daily, to just be accountable every day to whatever I did, it goes in the tracker. I feel like that's doable. I feel like that's attainable. I don't feel like that is asking too much. I think it would be too much for me if I was requiring that I stay at a certain number of points. Like I can only, if I go into the negative, this many, no. I just want to put it in.
Well, and like Sharon has said in our meetings before, and she's even said it in the Real WW Talk Facebook group, it isn't about perfection. It's not about trying to hit the blue dot every day. It's just the consistency and the practicality that I'm tracking something, even if like she's been on cruises and vacation, it's a guesstimation.
Yeah.
That's it. Just guesstimating.
Because I think consistency for me is always something that I've desired, but never truly made attainable because I've added additional layers to what that meant. It wasn't just that I had to track, but I had to track and get a blue dot, or I had to track and have this many vegetables. No, it's like, I just need to get this one habit to be something that is second nature. And that takes intentionality every day. That doesn't matter if you're, because there's nothing that could really prohibit you from being able to just put in what you ate, So I think those are things that are measurable for me. They're attainable. And I love that the programs that I've picked for my fitness have rest days built in. They're not everyday things. Like this program, it's 3 days a week that you exercise. The other days are like, just do something that makes you feel good. But on these 3 days, we need you to show up. I love that. Yeah. So those are my goals.
That's cool.
What about you, Erin?
I am in about a month and 2 weeks, I'm in Israel. And I'm in Israel for about 10 days. And then I come back from Israel and I'm home for about maybe 2 weeks. And then I'm in Florida for a week. And so May is going to be wild. And I come back in the beginning of June. So basically I've got to be completely dedicated for this first month and a half to sustain me for that next month and a half, honestly and truly. So my biggest thing is I'm going to be leading a trip in Israel. And that is a ton of walking. I've done it before, so I know what to expect. And I have been working hard in treating my plantar fasciitis and doing the exercises with it. But, we're looking to walk between 2 and 4 miles a day, visiting a lot of the different, a lot of different sites. And so where I currently am now, one is beginning to amp up my distance with my foot. That's really what I'm trying to get my plantar fasciitis and my 1 foot ready for when we go on the trip. So I'm increasing my daily distance that I'm walking between 2 and 4 miles so that I am not in a world of hurt while I am on the trip. So, and then the other aspect of that is just being really dedicated with my food choices up to that point, because I do have a goal to be down 10 pounds before we leave for the trip. And I'm down 2 of the 10 pounds on it. So, yep. Yay. So, but that's it's hyper dedication to, like I've been talking about, I've been tracking in the WW app and I've been tracking in another app because I'm also looking at the nutrition for those pieces. So, and I also know, like we talked about a couple of weeks ago, slow cookers versus microwaves. I'm a slow cooker. And so I'm not going to be dropping 5 pounds in 1 week. It's going to be difficult for me to drop 5 pounds in 1 month, but I know even if I don't hit the 5 pounds in 1 month, I'm happy by the exercise that I'm doing and the good food choices that I'm making because all of those things matter. So,
and that's what I was going to say. I'm really glad to hear that you're not just saying, I want to be down 10 and not talking about the things that would be the control we have over our body is what it is. But you are, it sounds like you're making the decisions to focus on the habits that would get you that as a result.
Right.
Regardless.
You know what, Candice, that's exactly it. It's focused on the habits that will lead to the result. And we all know that sometimes we don't get the weigh-in we deserve the week we deserve it. And that is a big key, especially now as I'm getting older. When I was in my, late 20s doing WW, if I didn't get the weigh-in I deserved the week I deserved it, it was probably more likely that I was that was more the issue. And I could say, okay, I'm going to lose 5 pounds this month. And I lost 5 pounds. As I have gotten older, my body doesn't work like that anymore. And I may follow the plan to a T and I don't see the result that week. I may not see the result the next week, but that third week, I'll have a 2.5 pound drop. Like, what is that?
I think it's great that you're being realistic though, because I think some people could say, oh, I have 6 weeks. I think you said it's about 6 weeks. And, I'm going to lose 12 pounds. I'm going to use 15 pounds. I'm going to lose 20 pounds. Like some people get in that mode of like you said, the hyper focus, you applied that to yourself. But I think it could be so much worse. Like I think sometimes we get into these modes where we're like, I'm going on this vacation. I'm going to fit into this bikini or I'm going to fit. And I think when we think about it in a realistic way, in a sustainable way, it's a lot easier to get to that goal.
Right. I would rather, 10 pounds, given that I've said, it's hard for me to even lose 5 pounds in a month. Setting 10 pounds can sound and feel unrealistic. Here's what I would rather do. I would rather set the goal for 10 pounds and fall short of it by hitting 7 and set the goal for 5 and fall short by hitting 4 or 3. Like for me, that's just a mental hurdle of making sure that I am really, really focused on what it is that I'm doing.
Yeah. And we've heard, I mean, I've been probably on both sides of the coin. Like I used to be one who used to make a lot of weight goals personally. Like it really made me feel good. Like I was like, I want to be this weight by this time. And it's always at the beginning, you're super 2 pounds a week, 1.24 every few days. Like I'm going to hit it. What I found for myself is kind of doing the dual approach to you, which is focusing on the habit that's going to get me there, because that's something that I can control when we're in a stage where your body could be like, I don't know what I'm doing. I know though that I am walking the 3 to 4 miles. I know that I am putting the food into the tracker and I'm focusing on the things that I can control. I think that having those both approaches is good, because sometimes when you just have one without the plan, when you just have the goal of the weight loss and the 10 pounds, but you don't know how you're going to do that, you can set yourself up for failure in your mind, because you're focused on a number, but you're not focused on what is necessary to hit that number.
Yeah.
And what you're saying sounds doable. It sounds like you're not, it doesn't seem to be that you're overwhelmed with the double tracking. Like, it's not like you're like, oh, this is not sustainable. I hate this. Because sometimes we make changes that we're not willing to do long-term.
Yeah.
And then it's just a rebound effect. I've had that, it comes off. And then after the trip, you're like, that's not going to last forever.
Yep. Have you, something that I haven't thought about for doing for myself that I really should think about doing? Have you guys thought about a way to actually track your goal? It just popped into mind, Candice, as you were talking. Think about Scott in our group. Scott posts like at the end of every week, he posts his weigh-in for the week, but he has, one of these things you can find them on, Instagram, where they're like each week has a little circle, and then you use the little thing on your app and you fill in how many pounds you lost or pounds that you gain. And I noticed that when I do go through and add up the month, like, okay, well, I've got awareness. I actually lost weight in January. I've got awareness that I lost weight in February, and being able to tally those things up. It's giving yourself a win. It's helping that accountability. Do you guys have a way to be able to track for these goals for the next 3 months?
Well, thankfully for mine, the WW app will show me if I put the stuff in, it'll be like, today it's there. And the same thing with my program. So they give you check marks on the days that you did what you were supposed to do. So those are visuals, like you said, that say, I did this. And it even, me, I'm all about rewards on my Peloton. If I do my classes, it'll tell you got a bronze medal or a silver or gold. And if you do all the classes right, you can get a gold medal, which gives you nothing. It's not accurate. And they don't mail you anything, but gosh darn it, you got a gold medal. So those are the ways that I can see it visually. Yes, for mine.
I went through a period where I would say I am the like paper tracker queen, and by queen I mean like I've collected them and they're collecting dust. Like,
no, those are sparkles, not dust.
Exactly, you know me very well. So
it's glitter. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I've just made house cleaning fun. I'm gonna call it Earth Glitter.
I love that. Yes,
we should put that on a shirt. It's not dust; it's Earth Glitter.
It's Earth Glitter.
Yes, we gotta trademark that right now.
I
know. So I really did love a fitness tracker that I have that had stickers that went along with it, and I did have a period where I was consistently using it, but also Erin has really good mini trackers. And she has one where you can track your activity and food. And I did double track for a while using that paper, because I used to like the paper trackers a lot. So that is something that in my mind, I really want to get back to doing, but I don't want to spend more money. I need to finish the one that I didn't finish previously. But as far as the goal that I shared tonight, there's also the Apple activity. Even if I do something in the Peloton app, it'll sync to my Apple, activity app. And that's a really good way of tracking, my steps for the day, tracking how many miles I've walked in the day, tracking how many days I've been active that week. And that's just how I plan on tracking this goal.
Mm-hmm. And something, Rikki, I don't know if you're familiar. They actually have walking, not programs, but if you were to, they're free, where you can put in, I don't know, like if you like Lord of the Rings, like if you want to track walking from the Hobbit land to this, you put in the miles that you may have done for the day, and it'll show you how far you have to go to
get. Is that an app?
It's like a website. Like I have to find it, but it's like, we have to get to Mordor. I always just think of like Frodo and his voice, and I'm like, I have to help him get the ring. And anyway, I've gone like completely off, but it really is a great way for you to kind of walk. And you can walk across the US. They have all these different ways for you to track.
Well, so I haven't had my Fitbit for a little bit, but I remember in Fitbit used to have like a little map. And so as you went along and walked that week, you'd open up a new place along like Yosemite or something like that, which again, it kind of gamifies, walking, makes it more fun. And I know Plant Nanny has a partnership they have another brand that is gamified with your walking, like you earn game tokens with your walking, which I've only briefly tapped into it. And I realized I can't do this because I will get lost in it. Right. I have a healthy and unhealthy level. And I was like, this is going to turn into unhealthy level real fast. And I just need to stick with tracking my water and not exploring their other thing.
Okay.
But yeah, those are all,
they're all fun. The Fellowship Virtual Challenge, and it'll take you, and at the end, it'll give you a ring. Sorry, that's just really exciting to me. Little things Okay.
You're gonna have to send that to me so I can put that in the
Sure.
show notes for everybody. So you don't have to go search high and low for it. We'll stick that in the show
I'll
notes.
send it to you.
That looks like so much fun.
I'm like, if you're gonna track it, at least give me something at the end. You know, I'm all about rewards. If you
Right.
took away my Bravo stars, I'm gonna find somebody else online who will give it to me.
Force that bet and earn the cash for what you're doing. Get paid in
Hey,
$1.
that's another perfect way.
Yep.
Take other people's money.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap it up for us today. I know we talked about this, like 2 weeks ago when we were talking about creating a supportive environment. But if, you're looking to create goals, you want some accountability for your goals, drop them in the Real WW Talk Facebook group. If you need an accountability partner as you're trying to figure out your goals and you want somebody to do them with you, ask for help. We talked about that a couple weeks ago. We got to take that as an important step to start creating that supportive environment for ourselves. And part of that is just saying, hey, can somebody join me in this? So, we'd love to hear what your goals are, the things that you're setting out. So why don't you, if you're watching us on YouTube, leave a comment and let us know so we can cheer you on Facebook, join our Real WW Talk Facebook group. We also have Instagram and our podcast as well. No matter what platform, just search Real WW Talk and you can catch us there. All right. Have a good week.
Hi.
Hi.